What's up, everybody? This is Whisky in the Six. I'm Rob. Whisky in the Six. What's up, everybody? This is Whisky in the Six. I'm Rob, doing my Whisky of the Year for 2020. Now, much like 2020 had many challenges, finding incredible whiskeys this year, or whiskeys that I at least thought were going to be incredible this year, seemed to be quite challenging as well. A lot of the whiskeys I thought I was going to be able to review this year, I never actually even saw, and it seemed that whiskey was getting harder and harder to come by, and for not very good reason. So this year gave me an opportunity to break down and find things that I probably would have overlooked in years past. If you compare this to previous lists, you're gonna be pretty shocked, because despite my discomfort with it, this channel has become known to have higher end whiskeys and stuff like that. I try not to be the whiskey snob kind of person, but unfortunately over the years I got caught up with finding those gems, those whiskeys that were highly sought after, and probably ignored some of the stuff that I really should have been paying more attention to. Kind of like maybe some of the things that we discovered this year about ourselves as a whole. So, gonna start with my honorable mentions. Gonna take a sip of this Canadian whiskey that I probably would have overlooked in years past if I didn't have the opportunity to seek out stuff that was a little off kilter, something that I probably wouldn't have acquired because my head was too far up in the clouds and not really paying attention to what was around me in the whiskey world. And that's these guys over here at Shelter Point. Honorable mentions, here we go. Wild Turkey 17-year-old bottled in bond. Really great whiskey. Was super impressed with what Wild Turkey did with this whiskey. I always felt that Wild Turkey didn't get enough recognition. They're not a BTAC bottle. They're not those highly flippable bourbons, but they have great quality and almost always great value. This bottle is a bit expensive, but I think worth every penny. The Wild Turkey 17-year-old bottled in bond. Buy it if you haven't already. Another bourbon on this honorable mention list is the Four Roses 125th Anniversary Edition. Now, I didn't include this in my top 6 because it's pretty much impossible to get at this point. Older whiskey, great bourbon. You guys would love it if you tried it. Honorable mention just because, like I said, it wouldn't be fair to you guys. Really like the virgin oak usage in this Ripple Rock Shelter Point. Probably a little bit of foreshadowing for what's to come in this list. Next on my honorable mentions, Glenelechy 10-year-old port, Glenelechy 12-year-old PX. Both great whiskeys, both 48%. Really love what Billy Walker does with his whiskey. These were incredible. They could have made the list, they just fell shy. Diageo did some great things in 2019 with the new Diageo single malt cask strength editions. The Cragganmore 12-year-old is one of those awesome whiskeys. I reviewed that in 2020, although it's a 2019 release. I really want to try the 20-year-old that came out in 2020. Hopefully I will get a chance to try that. But this Cragganmore could have easily cracked this list if the list wasn't as special. Last but not least on the honorable mentions list is the Glendronach 21-year-old from 2020. Now this probably should have made the list. The only reason I didn't think it was fair is because I actually reviewed this whiskey in the past. I think it was 2017. So I didn't feel like this should get another crack at the can. I decided to go with whiskeys that I just reviewed in 2020 for the first time. Another sip of this. Number 6 is the worst kept secret in whiskey. Killkerran 8-year-old cask strength. This is the sherry edition. I believe it came out in 2019 if I'm not mistaken. Really good whiskey. The bourbon cask version is awesome as well, and it gets overlooked because of this beautiful expression, which is the sherry version of it. Both excellent. Honestly, I reviewed both in 2020, but the sherry one obviously stole my heart. It's my number 6. Number 5, again from a distillery that just stole my heart this year. Got a chance to really dive deep into Glenelechy, the Glenelechy 10-year-old cask strength, batch 3. When I first reviewed this, I believe I gave it an 88. Every time I went back to that bottle after that review, it went up a half a point, honestly. It probably finished off at around the 91 for me. I love this whiskey. I think it might edge out the batch 4 that I haven't reviewed just yet, but I could be mistaken. I probably should do a side-by-side. The batch 4 will be reviewed in 2021. The batch 3 was incredible. Buy it if you haven't already. Number 4 comes from a distillery that I was pretty hard on for many years. It's the Arran distillery. I really like the Arran 18-year-old. That's my number 4 this year. Really, really good whiskey. They completely rebranded their whiskey. The bottles are cool, the presentation is awesome, and what's inside the bottle of that 18-year-old and the 21-year-old behind me, incredible stuff. This 18-year-old in particular though, I really love. Honestly, it's making me want to try more Arran whiskey, which is a good thing. In the past, I kind of overlooked them, like I said, because I had a couple expressions that were iffy. This 18-year-old is awesome. Expect good things from Arran moving forward. So I have a rule on this top 6. I put it in last year, no whiskeys over $500. And if I bought this at full price at the LCBO, it would have been $550. But my number 3 is the Clynelish 23-year-old because we got this on clearance for like $370. In parts of the US, it's actually like $180, $190. Incredible price. At that price, I say get 2. But this whiskey has so much depth of flavor. It's so complex. I've been avoiding it for years because of the price, but honestly, I actually understand why it's so heavily priced. And it's becoming the regular price for about a 23 to 25-year-old whiskey, unfortunately. Everything's going up in price. This Clynelish 23-year-old is special, man. Honestly, get it if you haven't already. At least split a bottle like we did. We split between a few of us. Incredible stuff. Honestly, I loved it. Shelter Point, man. Number 2. For the first time ever on this channel, I think, this is only 5 years in and I'm already forgetting, but what I believe is the first time on this channel, my number 2 and my number 1 are non-Scotch single malts. Dun dun dun. Yeah, honestly pretty crazy. If you told me this a few years ago, I would have laughed. I didn't think that was possible. I love Scotch. I still do, obviously, but these 2 expressions are really, really special. Number 2 is the Kavalan Virgin Oak. This one's 13 years old, the one that I tried anyway. Incredible stuff. The angel share is so heavy on these barrels that at 13 years old, some of these go as low as 70 bottles. They're lucky if they're getting 100 bottles out of these barrels. They're all bottled at cask strength. Incredible whiskey. Honestly, it's a world uniter when it comes to bourbon heads and single malt heads because everybody can find something awesome in this whiskey. Most people I've shared it with, it absolutely blew their minds. So honestly, if you can pick up the Kavalan Virgin Oak, I highly recommend you do so. Try to get it for under 250 Canadian. I think it's about 200 in the US. I think those are reasonable prices. If it goes closer to 300, I think they're asking a little bit too much, but really, really good stuff. It's my number 2. Another Asian whiskey. This one's Indian, in fact. Amrut is my number 1. It's the X rum cask, which was a barrel pick from Kensington Wine Market in Alberta. Honestly, this whiskey was incredible. The moment I tried it, I knew I had to have more, so I immediately bought a couple more. This has everything I want in a single malt. It has a beautiful sweetness, a nice like musty, malty, kind of peated a little bit, maybe not quite peated, something's going on there. Honestly, just really, really good stuff. I think you guys will love this if you get a chance to try it. It's 60% ABV, so add a little bit of water and you will find a money spot with this whiskey because it can get a little bit overwhelming at 60%. But honestly, overall, it's just incredible stuff. Very complex. Definitely some depth of layer in there. I can't say enough about it. I really loved it. Get the Amrut X rum cask if you can. I know it's limited, but it was such a great price at under $200. 2020 had its challenges in the whiskey world, in the real world, all over the place. But there was a lot of good that came out of 2020. On this channel, we hit 10K subscribers, thanks to you guys, of course. We're about to hit 5 years on this channel. Jeremy and I started the Whiskey Rant podcast. I met a lot of good friends this year and got to know some people I probably wouldn't have gotten to know if what happened this year didn't happen. So for those things I'm thankful for, but I'm sure we're all looking forward to what's gonna come in 2021. I know that there are some whiskeys I'm still hunting for. I hope you guys find all the whiskeys you're looking for in 2021. Have a very happy holidays, stay safe, and try to enjoy as best you can. Cheers.
You see my son, they'll try to change you, knock you down, but you gotta soldier through.